I'm Eric Anderson. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, word of a possible new challenger in the San Diego mayor's race. And council members are debating over the best way to fix San Diego's crumbling infrastructure. Thousands of children flee the violence in Central America. A new investigation finds failures by the U.S. government sent some of those children into abusive situations.
How we doing? Hey, just to let you know, we've been having a lot of cliff collapses.
Beaches up the North County's coastline are taking a beating during these winter storms. What will it take to protect them? KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. A former Assembly Democrat may be challenging Kevin Faulconer in the San Diego mayor's race. Lori Saldana has pulled papers to run. KPBS has not yet confirmed that she is a candidate. Saldana served in the state assembly from 2004 to 2010. Fixing the city's infrastructure got the attention of San Diego's mayor today, Kevin Faulconer, at the new Skyline Library. KPBS reporter Matt Bowler joins us from the newsroom with the story.
Infrastructure is many things, from maintaining fire and police stations to fixing water pipes and filling potholes, and it costs a lot of money. Councilman Mark Kersey has a funding proposal. It has a 30-year timeline, uses sales tax, general fund growth, and money saved from changes to the city pension system to secure the $4 to $5 billion. Kersey says his proposal also solves a huge problem in the way the city manages its money.
Biggest issue, and what my Rebuild San Diego proposal solves, is the fact that there is not a dedicated revenue source in the city's general fund budget specifically for maintaining our infrastructure. It just doesn't exist.
Mayor Kevin Faulconer says if the proposal is approved, he'd fix San Diego's needy neighborhoods first.
And I think some of our biggest opportunities is some of our communities that haven't gotten their fair share of city funding. Why we're here today in Skyline.
City Councilman David Alvarez agrees San Diego has an infrastructure problem, but says Kersey's plan has flaws. Instead of 30 years, Alvarez wants a 10-year timeline because he says roads need fixing now. And Alvarez says Kersey's pension savings are exaggerated, pointing out an $800 million budget is more realistic. Alvarez wants the City Council to consider his plan before voting on Kersey's ballot measure. If the Council approves Kersey's measure, voters will make the final decision in June. Matt Bowler, KPBS News.
The San Diego Association of Governments is considering asking voters for a half-cent sales tax in November. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the planning agency is holding 3 telephone town halls to ask the public how that money should be spent.
Ever participate in a telephone town hall? Me neither, and it's a first for the San Diego Association of Governments. The planning group has done polling, focus groups, and has an online survey. Here's SANDAG Executive Director Gary Gallegos.
And it's a process to allow us to be interactive in a way that we get to hear from people and you get to understand, what they think is important and why they think we ought to be doing A, B, or C.
Last October, SANDAG passed a 35-year regional transportation plan. Environmental groups criticized it for not putting enough money into biking, walking, and public transit projects. Many of those same groups are now calling on SANDAG to make this new tax measure transit first.
We think that there's probably a lot of appetite for doing things a little differently to encourage transit and smart growth, and hopefully this gives an opportunity for San Diegans to make those opinions known.
The big hitch, the tax increase would need support from 2/3 of the county's voters to pass. The first telephone town hall is tomorrow night. You can go to kpbs.org for details. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The 10 sailors briefly detained by Iran earlier this month are back in San Diego. Naval officials say all the members of the Coastal Riverine Squadron 3 are in good health. The Iranian government detained the sailors on January 12th. That happened after their boats strayed into Iranian waters in the Persian Gulf. The sailors were released the following day. The the investigation continues into last month's shooting in the San Bernardino area. The latest revelation is that the couple who committed the shooting also prepared a bomb. Law enforcement officials are saying that Saeed Farouk and Tashfeen Malik drove around the site after the shooting, trying to detonate the bomb by remote control. The officers say that the explosive device never went off because it was poorly made. 14 people died in that incident. Police are still searching for 3 men who escaped from a maximum security jail in Orange County last week. Authorities believed at least 2 of the men are still in the area. Their family members are asking the fugitives to turn themselves in.
You just turn yourself in. Don't let this drag on. Killing me because I know my son is innocent.
That was the sister and mother of 20-year-old Jonathan Tu, who was awaiting trial on a murder charge. He and the other 2 men escaped on Friday morning, but the breakout was not discovered until a bed check that night. The U.S. Supreme Court says that people serving life terms for murders they committed as teenagers must have a chance to seek their freedom. The decision could affect more than 1,000 inmates in Louisiana, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. The justices voted 6-3 to extend a 2012 ruling striking down automatic life terms with no chance of parole for teenage killers. Today's ruling finds even those who were convicted long ago must be considered for parole or given a new sentence. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation is taking public comments on its recently announced method for lethal injections. So far, some 11,000 residents have submitted their opinions.
The CDCR will go through all of the comments received, and we are required to respond to all of them. So yes, that does seem like a daunting task.
Critics of the new procedure are concerned that 2 of the drugs are not used for the death penalty in any other state and might not be effective. A group of civil rights advocates have sued the department, saying prison officials are hiding crucial documents in relation to the new protocol. The public comment period ends February 22nd. California prison officials are also defending the amount of money they're spending to run the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Lawmakers expected costs to go down under realignment because the prison population was reduced by nearly 5,000 inmates in recent years, but that hasn't worked out that way.
But it's important to remember that many of those inmates were released days, weeks, or months earlier than they would otherwise have been. In other words, many of those 4,700 inmates would have been out of prison by now anyway, because many of them were serving relatively short sentences.
Under a 2014 law approved by voters, prisoners' sentences were reduced after some felonies were reclassified as misdemeanors. Tens of thousands of Central American children crossed the border into the U.S. in search of safe harbor back in 2012, and federal officials have worked to move those children into sponsors' homes. An Associated Press investigation has found that children in some of those homes were abused, starved, and forced to work. The AP's Haven Daily has the story.
Marvin Velasco has had a difficult childhood. After fleeing violence in his home country of Guatemala in 2014, the then 14-year-old made the dangerous trek to cross the U.S. border. The Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement then placed him in a cramped apartment in Los Angeles, where his sponsor held him for weeks and deprived him of food.
I felt really bad. I felt really frustrated. I just kept asking myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
An AP investigation found 24 cases of abuse and exploitation within the child placement program at a time when the department was weakening its standards for vetting sponsors. Now, the number of young migrants from Central America is once again climbing. Among the cases AP uncovered, in Florida, a 14-year-old girl from Honduras forced to drink, dance, and entertain men in cantinas. In Alabama, a 17-year-old Guatemalan boy pressured to work in a restaurant for 12 hours a day to pay the debt he owed to smugglers to get him into the U.S. And in Ohio, lured to the U.S. with the promise of education, 6 unaccompanied minors were instead forced to work in egg farms under death threats.
Classic human trafficking type of conditions, really horrible. But it's broadened now. we're looking at whether there is a systemic failure.
After the egg farm incident in his home state, Senator Rob Portman directed a Senate Investigations Committee to look into how the Department of Health and Human Services is failing to protect migrant children. During the surge of immigration in 2014, overburdened social workers were not conducting extensive background checks when placing Central American children with some sponsors, and not following up with regular check-ins.
One thing we've heard is that they're overburdened. Well, in that case, they should seek additional funds and additional help.
Millie Atkinson is an attorney specializing in helping immigrant children in San Francisco.
When they leave their home countries, a lot of times they think if they just get here, everything will be okay. Reality sets in. They have a hard time adjusting sometimes. Sometimes the person they're placed with isn't their parent or is someone who continues to abuse them or mistreat them.
The department spokesperson said in an interview, "These tragic situations do happen when there are bad actors involved, and that makes it incredibly difficult for the government to ferret them out. I know we learn from lessons and keep trying to improve the system to ensure that children are placed in a safe place, and I'm confident the vast majority of the kids are." Marvin Velasco was finally able to escape his abusive home and found refuge in a nearby Guatemalan church where he now plays in the devotional band. A parishioner heard about the teen's story and decided to become his legal guardian.
I see nobody help, I do it.
It was a second chance for Ingrid Anspach, whose 15-year-old son was killed more than a decade ago in a gang-related drive-by shooting.
I want to try to help these kids, because almost the same like my son.
Marvin is now thriving in the band and at school and believes he has a bright future.
I have to put in a lot of my own effort as well, but thankfully I have so much more now.
Most of the children are not as lucky as Marvin, but the department says it is getting better at accommodating young migrants, opening new facilities to house minors, better screening for host families, and a call center where children and sponsors can report problems. Haven Daily, Associated Press, Los Angeles.
Class is back in session today for more than 100,000 college students around San Diego County. Enrollment is up 3.5% at the 3 campuses of the San Diego Community College District. The district added instructors to help meet that increased demand. The San Diego International Airport is soaring through some records. 20 million passengers passing through the facility last year. That's the most travelers in the airport's 88-year history. It's a 7% increase over the previous year. The airport also set a new record for the number of flights with more than 60 seats. Lindbergh Field had nearly 165,000 of those flights. The previous record set back in 2008. The San Diego airport saw some disruptions after that blizzard hit the East Coast this past weekend. A couple of flights to and from New Jersey were canceled today. Folks there are still under a lot of snow. Now, that snow even reached the beach. Mayor Matt Dougherty shared this drone video of a beach in Belmar, New Jersey. Snow and sand mixing together along the New Jersey shore. And Washington, D.C. became a winter playground. There were snowball fights and sledding along the National Mall. Federal government remained shut down for the day. Almost 2 feet of snow still covering some streets in D.C. and Baltimore. And on the other side of the nation, warm and sunny weather on tap for San Diego. KPBS weather reporter Steph Davis gives us the forecast.
Well, we have some gorgeous weather to look forward to all across the San Diego area over the next several days. In fact, much of California going to enjoy tranquil conditions. Looking at our satellite and radar, you'll notice just a couple of patchy clouds, but plenty of bright sunshine along the Golden State with largely dry conditions. And that's thanks to a strong ridge of high pressure in control. Taking a look closer to home in the San Diego area, wall-to-wall sunshine from San Diego towards Borrego Springs. A couple of patchy high clouds rolling through, but all in all, a gorgeous weather pattern throughout the day today, into tonight, and pretty much over the next several days, so get out and enjoy it. Clear skies tonight in Mount Laguna as overnight lows fall back to 49 degrees. Also clear tonight in Alpine with a low of 48. A quiet Monday night in store for Ramona. Your low is 55 degrees, back to 49 degrees tonight in San Diego itself, under largely dry conditions and mainly clear skies. That high pressure ridge going to remain in control across much of the southwestern United States Tuesday and into Wednesday, allowing for a dry flow, pleasant afternoons, though chilly nights all in all. But get out and enjoy the beautiful weather pattern, because it's just going to be picture perfect out there with plenty of sunshine and temperatures continuing to climb. Here's a look at your 5-day forecast for the coast. Sunny for your Tuesday as we climb into the low 70s, remaining in the 70s Wednesday and Thursday. Mostly sunny skies on Friday, a little bit cooler but still definitely pleasant as we kick off the weekend on Saturday. Looking at your 5-day outlook, inland 71 and sunny on Tuesday. Widespread temperatures remaining in the 70s Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Same deal here, a little bit cooler Saturday with highs in the upper 60s, but still a very pleasant forecast. Your 5-day outlook for the desert shows widespread daytime highs in the 70s, plenty of sunshine for your Tuesday, though temperatures a little bit cool for overnight lows, falling back into the 40s Tuesday and Wednesday night. Mostly sunny and pleasant Thursday. Sunshine continues Friday, and a beautiful kickoff to the weekend for the deserts on Saturday with a mix of clouds and sun and a daytime high of 67 degrees. Finally, your 5-day outlook across the mountains. Plenty of sunshine and mild temperatures Tuesday with a high of 70. That's also what we can expect for the midweek on Wednesday. Sunny and nice on Thursday. Mostly sunny skies on Friday, and those beautiful conditions continue right into the day on Saturday. So we're pretty lucky across the San Diego with a gorgeous forecast over the next 5 days all across the region. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
Insurance companies will be paying out more than $1 billion for damage from a couple of wildfires in Northern California this past fall. Together, those fires burned more than 200 square miles north and northeast of San Francisco. 6 people died. Nearly 3,000 buildings were burned. The cause of both fires still under investigation. Adults age 65 and older are twice as likely to fall victim to a house fire, and that's why the Burn Institute is offering free smoke alarms to retirement-age homeowners in San Diego. The service is being offered to residents who are 62 years old and older. They must also own their own homes. If you want more information, you can call the number there on your screen. The beautiful sandy beaches along San Diego shoreline are a simple fact of life that people sometimes take for granted here. But several beaches in North County are already eroded down to rock because of high tides and El Niño storms. KPBS North County Bureau reporter Allison St. John says this winter may reveal how expensive it's going to be to preserve our beaches when sea level rise kicks in.
Recent storms have weakened cliffs along North County's coastline.
This is not average for normal years.
Encinitas lifeguard Captain Larry Giles keeps a close eye on the cliffs at Beacons Beach.
Right behind me here we have some Torrey sandstone boulders that have detached from the bluff. It's been getting a lot of groundwater, a lot of surf, and with the heavy rains, all this combined and just, age and wear and tear, it's coming down.
As he drives around, Giles warns beachgoers of the dangers.
How we doing? Hey, just to let you know, we've been having a lot of cliff collapses. And you guys are in the most probably dangerous spot I've seen today. You're in such an area where if something were to happen, there's probably no tomorrow for you. So.
But cliff erosion is all part of the natural cycle that replenishes beach sand. The huge seawalls that private property owners have erected to protect their homes is part of the reason beach sand that gets washed away in winter storms is not being replenished.
We put up a protective berm, but where you see these cobblestone layers are, that's usually down well below the normal beach sand that we have. And with these swells, it's come in and it's eaten away, basically eroded away this beach.
This year's storms have already removed more sand than usual, in some cases exposing the ribs of the beach, the bedrock that is seldom exposed. In Oceanside, some of the beach is completely down to cobblestone. And on the Strand, the waves break right over the road during king tides, flooding construction of new condos. Oceanside does not take sea level rise into account when granting permits for new oceanfront condos like these.
These sensors are going to be measuring the water depth and the height of waves.
But Bob Guza of Scripps Institution of Oceanography says places that flood intermittently now could find themselves flooded on a daily basis in the long term. He thinks this winter's king tides and El Niño storms give us a glimpse into the future.
The reason I say that is because sea level is higher during El Niño because of the wind patterns and because the water is warmer. So the water level is higher, maybe 15 or 20 centimeters. Well, that might be the equivalent of, depending on sea level rise, of 30 or 40 or 50 years of sea level rise.
Guza and his team are burying sensors to collect data on beach erosion. His focus is on areas where millions of dollars have been spent on sand replenishment projects. Encinitas and Solana Beach both got thousands of cubic yards of extra sand when Sandag spent $28 million on beefing up beaches with sand in 2012.
Clearly the question of does it last 2 years or 20 years is very relevant to is it worth doing.
This little orange cart uses GPS to measure sand movement in Encinitas to within 2 centimeters. But Guza says the scientific models for measuring sand erosion are imprecise still, so it's hard to reach conclusions. Solana Beach has perhaps the most vulnerable sandstone cliffs in Southern California. Armoring them has not helped the eroding sand on beaches. Lifeguard Captain Craig Miller says the beach can lose 8 to 10 feet of sand in winter. Anecdotally, he says the 2012 sand replenishment project made a big difference.
A lot of us were skeptical because there is no sand retention devices here, and one good storm like this would have probably taken a lot of that sand away the first year, but it ended up sticking around. We still have sand on the north side of the cove here from that replenishment project. There's very little left, but there's still a little bit left.
But Sandag is still collecting data and has no plans for more sand replenishment projects costing millions of dollars. The Army Corps of Engineers last year did approve a 50-year sand replenishment program for Encinitas and Solana Beach beginning in 2017. But that would cost $135 million, and the money has not yet been found. Sea level along Southern California's shores could rise, according to the state's best estimate, by as much as a foot in the next 15 years and up to 2 feet by 2050. Beaches are more than just beautiful, they protect the land. Bob Guza says it's going to take major investments to protect those beaches.
Build a highway, you have to maintain it. It falls apart if you don't maintain it. We're in a situation with beaches, if you don't maintain them, they're going to go away.
Alison St. John, KPBS News.
KPBS video journalist Katie Shulov helped put that story together. A development project catering to bikers and walkers broke ground today in Imperial Beach. The long-awaited Bikeway Village will be a 2-acre complex. It's part of a 26-mile Bayshore Bikeway and Wildlife Refuge.
Kind of outdoor dining with restaurants, maybe a bike shop, and then some other facility, retail and other facilities to help support the bike path. And it's going to be a really nice venue for bikers to stop at, have some refreshments, and then continue on.
Bikeway Village is budgeted at $5 million and is expected to be finished in 2017. Phase 2 of the project will include a hostel or boutique hotel, retail offerings, and a bike path that will stretch all the way to the Tijuana River Valley. UC San Diego is once again considering moving its athletic program to the next level. Students at UC San Diego could be asked to vote on an athletic fee increase of $480 a year. Now, the increase would give the school enough money for needed scholarships and staff members to move to NCAA Division I. Mike Robles from UC Davis says the move to Division I has been beneficial for that school.
No matter how you feel about athletics, it is often the front porch to a university. And so for us, to be able to put our school out there on a more national basis, I think has been a very big benefit for the campus.
A vote at UCSD is scheduled for Wednesday to bring that proposal to students in the spring.
I'm Hari Srinivasan on the next News Hour, a wrap-up of the weekend's campaign events on the political trail. 1 week before Iowa votes. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
yeah, here comes the lion. The Lion King coming to San Diego as part of the 40th anniversary season of Broadway San Diego. The lineup kicks off with a cabaret in August, also includes The Sound of Music, Matilda the Musical, Rent, and a musical version of the 90s movie The Bodyguard. It's just part of what's planned by Broadway San Diego. We have more on their 40th anniversary season online at kpbs.org. Let's recap some of tonight's top stories. A former Assembly Democrat may be challenging Kevin Faulconer in the San Diego mayor's race. Lori Saldana has pulled papers to run. KPBS has yet to confirm that she is a candidate, but Saldana did serve in the state assembly from 2004 to 2010. And today, Kevin Faulconer was out there at the new Skyline Library where it was being built, talking about infrastructure with Councilman Mark Kersey. Kersey has proposed a 30-year plan paid for through state taxes, growth in the general fund, and savings from changes in the city. But Councilman David Alvarez says the proposal is flawed. The plan could go to voters if passed by the City Council. San Diego International Airport breaking records. The airport reaching the 20 million annual passenger mark, most travelers in the airport's 88-year history. You can find tonight's stories on our website. It's kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back here again tomorrow night. Have yourself a great evening.